And yes, that's right. Welcome to the HypeREXtended podcast with your boy Tabo, the REX. Of course, you know how the dinosaur ambassador holds it down for you, man. And yeah, we've got another episode, man. It's been a while since we've pretty much done any recording for anything. You know, it's been like maybe 2 weeks where we haven't, had this particular podcast. But now we're back. I've got my boy Izzy Lucid in the building. How you doing, baby?
What it do? I'm doing good. How about you?
Oh, man, what can I say? It's another time. It's another time to be alive. But, pandemic, man, it really has me scared right now. So things are not as...
It's getting closer to home. It's definitely getting closer to home. Everyone knows someone now.
Touched me a lot, bro. It's really touched me a lot. But we've got a guest today. And I'd like to say this guest is pretty much a legend in the industry, man. I grew up watching this person, all right? I grew up watching her. And she used to just chill with CC, Shade, all these really cool people, Cypho, Switch. You can hear I'm obsessed by the way I'm just rolling names. I know what I'm talking about right now. And I met her once at a really cool place when I was working, right? But she goes by the name of Karabo Ntshweng, right? Hello, Karabo. How are you?
What's happening? Hey, Izzy. Hey, Tabo. Thank you so much for having me. So awesome to join you guys on your podcast. Thank you for having me.
Of course, that's what it's all about, man. I feel so, excited, man. We used to just watch you when we were kids, and we wanted to be like you, man. I was jealous, man. I wanted to be a part of the Wild Room squad. I really wanted to have that breakfast. You guys used to do this section or this little mini vibe where you guys are like, oh, let's see what we're having for breakfast. Then it's like, I really want to be a part of that, man. So it's all crazy. And on top of obviously being a legend in the industry as someone who's been on Yo TV and other forms of media, she's also a radio presenter, and we've seen her quite a lot, or heard of her, quite a lot on 947 and especially now on a 5 FM. That's where she is in the mornings, 4 to 6 a.m. That's Karabo, man. She's holding it down in the morning, always asking us these questions that are serious, and I'm like, no, Karabo, it's a pandemic. I please, just.
It's not always serious.
Just,
yeah.
But yeah, Karabo, just, we wanted to know, man, how's your experience, just being on your TV, at the age you were? When did you start? How did that all happen?
So I started on Kids TV when I was 11 years old, and I stayed for about 9.5 years to 10 years. So I left when I was 21, so it was like 10 years that I did it. So it was practically my entire childhood, to be quite honest. And prior to that, I'd been doing like ads and that kind of stuff and a little bit of acting as a child. But like my first full-time kind of job on TV was obviously OTV when I was 11. And it was a fantastic experience. I think then, and this is what a lot of us always say that did it, like it didn't feel like anything extra special. It felt like, okay, you play soccer after school, you play netball after school, I just go and I do but then obviously, like the more older you get and you start to understand what you do and the influence that you have, you realize, oh, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is actually a dream of, and I realize it more and more now as I get older and I meet people, and it's been about, I think, more than 8 years that I've been off your TV now, and people are like, dude, and like broadcasters, like yourself and other people as well, who'd be like, oh my God, that was my childhood dream. I'll stretch it as, and I'm just thinking like, well, you're doing it now, you know what I mean? It's just, it really was a fantastic experience. And I think the older I'm getting, the more I actually start to appreciate it more, because it's obviously trained me to be the broadcaster that I am today, meeting other broadcasters and them saying like, dude, that is what I wanted to do. And it's like, wow. The older I get, the more I appreciate it. I think I learned a lot of things about our industry from then. I learned a lot of things about the professional environment, being humble, working with people, Yeah.
Now, I mean, that, like I said, for me, I had met you in Santon for an event called Whiskey Live, and essentially I was working like as a promoter that day. And for me, like when I saw your face.
Sorry, Tabo, where was it again? Just remind me.
It's Whiskey Live. So there's an event in Santon. Like you have like these different types of tastings. You know what I mean?
I remember Whiskey Live. Did I just burp? I'm sorry, guys.
Unfiltered.
It's okay.
It's what? It's raw. It's Rex.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. It's raw. It's real. It's Rex. That's what the show is about. So it's all good, man. Look. we know that you have like media credibility, you know, so there's certain things maybe you can't say, but we just wanted to let you know that here it's a free platform. You can literally say what you want to say. Just putting it out there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's the nice thing about a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like that I enjoy so much. You guys are free to do whatever you want. That's why I'm even having a drink right now. See, it's almost even done.
Let's go.
I'm like,
It's Friday, you know. Let's go. I'm tired of the week. You know, I understand how you feel,
It's
man.
Friday. And I have been up since 2 a.m., so I deserve it.
Definitely. You definitely do. Just to touch briefly on your time on radio. So you went to VOW FM, which essentially I used to work there as well. And I think that's what tied us together in our conversation, because I was like, yeah, I go to VOW. You're like, oh yeah, I was there like 10 years ago or something. I'm like, what? How long ago? I was like, really? Like,
No, it wasn't 10 years ago, Tam. It was like 7.
yeah, but you know what I mean.
7 years ago. Okay. Yes, yes.
Yeah, man, how's that experience, man? How did that get you into radio now?
So one of the reasons I went to Wits University was because I knew that they were rebuilding the station Voice of Wits, because Voice of Wits existed back then, right?
Yeah.
And then I think it shut down, and then they started rebuilding their studios, and I had heard that, okay, 2010, VOW FM was relaunching, and I was like, and I'd always loved Wits as a university, and it was always my option. But like one of the main reasons I actually went to Wits University was because I knew that they're relaunching the station, and I was like, I'm going to get into that station because this is how I'm going to get into radio. I'd always wanted to radio, and throughout high school, I had been shadowing a lot of radio DJs, especially at YFM. YFM then, they were very open to even if you weren't a radio DJ and they necessarily like hiring you, but the DJs there were also very open to to mentoring other people, or for you to come in and shadow. YFM students were always just busy. I remember when they were at Rosebank. So I'd shadow a couple of DJs there when I was in high school. And it was varsity time, went to Wits, started with Wits. I did the VOW FM Top 40. I remember Thursday show as well. I never did a Monday to Friday show because I was still obviously on YOTE and was obviously varsity, but I made sure that I was doing a sufficient amount of shows. And it's literally the best decision I ever made. I always say that I walked out of Wits University 2 degrees, one in psychology and anthropology, a BA, that's what I majored in, and the radio degree. Like I say that because I stayed with for about 3.5 to 4 years, because when I got scooped up by 947, what I did was I stayed at Voice of Wits. They allowed me to do both, which was awesome. And I think I was just hanging on a little bit. I think this is my family. I don't want to let it go, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think I would have been able to, straight after varsity, start a career in radio behind the scenes and on air, and even be on 5FM today if it wasn't for Voice of Wits, if it wasn't by a man called Mike Smurthwaite.
I remember him.
Wigger. I don't know if you guys
I know Wigger very well.
Exactly. I mean, he actually rebuilt that station from the ground. Yeah. Such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to radio. He was so passionate about all the young people joining Voice of Wits then. He was absolutely incredible. We had a couple of programs managers as well. Nicole De Silva, who's on 5FM right now. She was one of our programs managers too. Oh. So there's so many people, even like co-presenters that worked there that are doing incredible now. So many people in the radio industry right now, you know, were at Voice of Wits in that year in 2010, between 2010 and around 2013. And obviously beyond that, I just haven't met everybody else post that. But there was that era between 2010 and I would say 2013, 2014. And people are doing incredibly well, from talk radio to television to commercial radio. And I always say to people, like, you need to do campus radio. You need to do a community radio. You can't just wake up and decide, I want to be on radio, and you're sending your demo to commercial stations. Sorry, pay your dues. Do you know what I mean? This is people's jobs. People study for this. People work at campus stations and volunteer for years without getting paid. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sure. And you think you can just like waltz in and decide to do radio. Some people are lucky. You know, I think sometimes natural talent is natural talent, like is like, if you know people as well. Some people have different stories and different journeys, and they're extremely lucky to be able to do a commercial radio platform without having to go through campus and community. But I think it's the best and easiest way to do it. Like, if you have a radio station in your hood, you can literally go there, knock and be, guys, I want to work for you. Okay, what do you want to do? News. produce? What are you interested in? They're always open. And that's what I like about community and campus stations. They don't expect someone to come there and you can do a link like Tabo can. No. The whole point of that platform is to teach you. The whole point of that platform is also to discover yourself as a broadcaster. Maybe actually you end up realizing, being behind the mic is not for me. I'm actually so great at sound. I'm great at making a radio show sound amazing. And that's what you end up branching into. Or you realize, I actually like current affairs more and I want to do news. And you get to discover yourself because they allow you the opportunity to experiment. And I think that's why it's so important. And that's why I always say you have to start on campus or community stations.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Because obviously, like I admit, I think for me, before I even got into it, I knew what I kind of wanted to study and stuff, but at the same time, I really wanted it that badly. So at the time, I spoke to Catherine Grenfell. She was still at 5 at the time, and she's my mentor essentially and one of my biggest friends. And she spoke to me. She was like, "Yeah, I don't think you should go study it, man. You need to find a station and just throw a young demo there and learn from there." And I think that experience of learning from it was great for me because essentially I went from doing a show every single Sunday, and I used to do a house show, and I'm not even the biggest house fan. Like I love hip hop more than I love house. And essentially I had done that show and I went to lunch eventually almost every single day. And unfortunately due to 2020, the year it was, I had to sort of let it go for personal and like financial reasons and stuff. But essentially, like I understand what you mean with the journey. It teaches you. I think for me, doing a show every day taught me a lot. That you need to be on the money, like on the money. And
it's so awesome that you did that. Can you believe it? Now, because of my busy schedule, when I was at campus radio, I didn't get a chance to do a show every day. Then when I was at 947, I had a 9 to 5 at Prime Media. And I did radio on weekends. So this is only the first time I'm doing radio Monday to Friday. And I'm like, oh my God. It is hectic. Now you've experienced that already. You know what I mean? You've experienced what it's like every single day to be on the go. I literally, in my 10th year of radio, this is my first time, and I'm like so shook. I'm like, yo. I'm trying to work newspapers, man. I'm back to reading the newspaper, okay?
I get you.
Newspapers. So, you know what I'm saying? So a show every day is absolutely insane, but you are right. It's so awesome that you've had that experience and you realize the importance of it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I do agree on that. But, what I want us to touch on is just a couple of tweets that I had seen on your page. And I didn't think someone who's in the media industry would essentially feel the touch of what the pandemic would do to a lot of people. So what has I know I always usually think when you're in media, life is safe. Like I think you're nice, you always get money, whether you have gigs or not, at least you've got a show. So you don't really, gonna have problems.
Are you making money now as a broadcaster and a podcast owner? Are you good? Are you raking it in? Yeah, fine. We're all on the same boat. We're in the same boat. But let me let you finish.
Yeah, no, I get you. But pretty much like, how has the pandemic affected you and your friends? Because I can tell with every tweet you tweet, you're like, yo, hi guys, like impinji zami zonke have lost their jobs or someone has lost jobs, and I can tell it's affecting us like a lot. So just tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yo, 2020 has been rough, man. 2020 has been so rough. Personally, it's been one of my toughest years. I mean, I started this year with a big health scare. And I got diagnosed with a rare... sorry to dampen the mood, guys. I know you went...
No, it's okay. I mean...
Even start talking about my...
I mean...
since we're going there, so first of all, I got diagnosed with like some rare lung condition, right? It's not like chronic, so I'm not going to die on you guys.
Okay.
Okay. I have to take medication and treatment for it for a year and a half. Now imagine you get diagnosed with a lung condition and then 3 months later, literally, COVID hits in your country. That's the first thing. So I'm like, no, I don't need this right now. You know what I mean? I'm still trying to like take care of my disease. Then I'll be diagnosed. So that's the first thing. And then obviously COVID hits, and I think when it comes to media, if you look at it, Tabo and Izzy, like you guys have seen how you look at magazine industry, magazines have been shutting down. You look at a couple of news places as well where people have been retrenched even before COVID. Our industry has been in trouble. Do you know what I mean? And I remember when AN7, for example, shut down. Thank goodness for Newsroom Africa right now, and they've hired, they've opened doors for other journalists and whatnot. But the media industry already has been a very uncertain place where people are getting retrenched and all these things, right? And now this is what I'm saying, like real talk, when we're not looking at the glitz and glam. I'm not talking about what's happening on Instagram. I'm talking about like real life. Do you know what I mean? When we're seeing, okay, Caxton is shutting down and radio station automating, the real stuff, not the Instagram live. So the media industry already has been in so much trouble. Ekwese shutting down. Like there's been so many, like from TV to radio. I mean, we read about actors being underpaid and all these things. So already the industry has been in trouble for a while, and then here's COVID, and it just makes it worse. I was in a very bad space in the beginning, like in the beginning of the year, like I've mentioned, and then here's something amazing that happens in the 5FM thing comes up, and I'm so grateful for that. I think I'm such a living testament that in the middle of chaos, magic can happen and great things can happen, and that the year is not over yet, and things can just turn around. And obviously, sometimes it's not a financial impact that's bad. Sometimes an emotional one too. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're locked up in our houses. I can't do the things that I used to be able to do. I'm worried about my health. I'm worried about my family. It's even getting worse. I don't know when the podcast is going to drop, but at the moment now, on the day we're recording, we all know that now we know, everybody now knows somebody that's got COVID or that's lost a loved one. So things are just depressing and things are hectic. I've got friends who've been losing jobs and getting retrenched. I'm on LinkedIn every day sending links. You know what I'm saying? I worry about my mom who's an entrepreneur. Money's running out. You know what I mean? And other business owners, young people already were sitting with such a high unemployment rate. It's only getting worse. We're told to start businesses. How are we going to start those businesses now? Already in a struggle. How are we going to do it now? So it's lit. And I think it's lit for everyone. And I think we have the fact that it's lit. We absolutely cannot. We need to be real and candid about it, And I think at the time, though, when great things are happening in your life, it's important to also celebrate them. I think there was a time when the 5FM thing happened for me, because it was literally in the middle of the pandemic. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm literally like, some of my closest friends have just lost their jobs. How do I tell them, hey, so
I got a new
gig. But I realized that you also have to be able to, in the midst of all that chaos, and even when people around you are going through a tough time, just still say yourself. And even the people that love you will celebrate you too, because we also need to, even though we're going through such a tough time, we need to be in a constant state of gratitude. Like things might not be perfect right now, but the fact that you're sitting where you are right now with internet connection for us to be able to do this interview, you've got proper equipment for you to be able to do it. You using the resources that you have to create something and to create something that is your own. That's a blessing in itself, and that's something to be grateful for. So I think even though there's a lot of shit going on, we need to be in a state of gratitude for the things that we have and the things we're able to do. Like you were saying, you had to let go of our FM earlier this year, but you have your own platform now, which is even better. And you know what I mean? People are consuming more digital things at the moment. So maybe this could be the year that your own product, the podcast, grows more than it would have a year ago or 2 years ago, So that's my chat. When it comes to podcast, it's a tough time, but I think we need to try and remain positive. We need to try and remain resilient, innovative. It's very hard though. And I think especially when death looms, there's only so much positivity there's only so much you can be positive. Like if people are starting to die around you, it's a little bit difficult. But I think where we can inspire, where we can provide support and be positive and that kind of stuff, I think we need to be able to do it, because also people need a bit of escape. And that's why platforms like this that you have created are important, because we need to escape.
No, I totally...
We need to be I need to fix my wig. Okay, there we go.
Actually, I need to just ask my friend. I just want to, even though no one will hear a damn thing, I just want to show proof that I'm recording this. Chaz, can I have your help? Can I have your help for like a couple of minutes? Can you even though I know...
Oh, a picture.
Well, not necessarily a photo, to be fair. I'd like to say, I'm gonna go on a live knowing that no one will hear anything you're saying. Like no one will hear a damn thing.
Oh, but it's fine. Why don't you want them to hear?
I mean, how are you gonna hear though? I mean,
Live is live.
yeah, it's live,
Oh,
man.
yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So let's just.
Okay.
Oh, wait, okay, let's. Well, I don't know. Let's see how this works. Aston, maybe you got a point. Maybe Aston.
I'm not going on live.
I mean,
Yeah, it's so much.
yeah, don't worry about it. Anyway, so Karabo, hearing everything you've said, I think it's touched me. What?
Why don't you flip the camera to show you that
I mean,
on your Instagram?
I can flip it, but it's gonna show your face, and essentially, no one will hear what you're saying. You'll just be like, and everyone's gonna be like, "What is Karabo doing?" Essentially. So I'm just gonna show it on me eventually at Aston because I feel like, oh, well, you know, yeah, I think we're just at that point. I don't even know if people would catch it because we're not famous, Karabo. Like, you know,
Okay.
we're just normal people, sadly.
Okay,
Anyway.
I'm not gonna speak too loud. My boyfriend's in a Zoom call, guys.
Okay.
So
No,
I'm gonna keep it a little low. Okay,
it's on-
can you talk nicely? And I mean, that's another funny thing with COVID. It's like all of us have had to just navigate a different way of working. All of a sudden, you live with your partner, and you guys are working in the same space. And it's like, oh, I have a Zoom call now. No, I have a Zoom call. Oh my goodness, which room are you gonna work? Do you know where I am right now?
where you are right now.
In the kitchen. I'm in the kitchen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm in the kitchen.
Y'all got a nice painting, though.
You like literally working. Yeah. And then you can't even tell I'm in the kitchen, right?
You have to get really
Zoom
creative
calls
with
and I'm
this whole
trying-
thing.
You really do. So when I'm not trying to be extra, I use the painting, and then sometimes I use the bookshelf. You have to be creative. But Tabu, you were saying something about how what I was saying about COVID touched you guys.
Yeah, you know,
you could
Aston.
relate.
I saw no. I especially saw Aston's face because, like, for Izzy himself, like he had an entire, like, event he prepared for himself. That's why I respect him so much. He had a gig he made for himself and put on other artists to create this particular gig, right? And this was the launch of something that we thought, like, or let's say we still do think, but it's been delayed. Like, it's gonna be really special because he did it on his own hard work. He made flyers. He got all types of stuff. He got equipment. He got a place to do this event, you know, and it was going to happen as soon as, I think, April kicked in? Yeah, as soon as April kicked in, it was about to happen. I was even about to MC for the first time in a long time, since like OP or something, you know. And we were excited, you know.
We really were. Like, but to be fair, I have this belief that if you're on the precipice of something really great, the universe or God is
Yeah.
gonna test you, and the bigger the test, the bigger the rewards, right? So I'm taking this whole like, as sad as it is, this whole COVID thing as this one big test for me to see, am I gonna stick with this idea when it comes back around? You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my whole mindset with it.
I agree with that so much. So I told you how I also had a challenging time in the beginning of the year when I was, you know what I mean, diagnosed with this lung condition of mine. Like, as it was actually quite hectic. Doctors weren't sure what's wrong with me. They thought, you could possibly have cancer. I mean, that's why I don't know if you're going to show a video of this podcast, but I have this like mark on my neck. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can.
we-
Yeah.
yeah.
From my right. I don't even cover it anymore because I'm just like, oh. But that was from the word is too big. I can never remember it. But when they're trying to like diagnose you for whatever's happening in your lungs, you have to basically go into surgery and they cut you in, like right here by my neck, stick a tube down your throat, and then the lung to test. So it's like a biopsy essentially to see like cancer, what the hell's going on, you know? So for me, that was my moment of test. I was like, okay, God, here. I'm on the brink of greatness here, and it's a test. So exactly what you're saying, I can absolutely relate. And the challenges just didn't stop, and now I'm in a completely different space. You know what I mean? So, I agree. That hit me.
Yeah.
Easy word.
Okay, so I actually have a bit of a question for you. So obviously we're going through this whole pandemic, right? But I feel like for South African women, it's 2 pandemics that they're going through. And then for black women, it's 3 pandemics with the whole Black Lives Matter and, you know, everything that's going on with that. So can you tell me, like, from your opinion, what's your take on this whole gender-based violence and everything that's going on within our country right now?
I think it's so sad, Izzy, that we are still here. I think every couple of years there is uproar and then it dies down and then we're still in the same place. It's so frustrating. It makes me so angry that we're in the same place. It makes me so angry that the president look, I have love for our president. I think even in the beginning of the pandemic, how he handled things was really good and he really did try and all these things. But like when it comes to violence, he'll get on there and he'll say, we condemn. They're always just condemning everything. And it's like, what are we going to do? Where are the harsher sentences? Do you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? How are we not fixing how the police, for example, handle gender-based violence cases, the justice system? You know what I mean? Like, why does it take so long to wrap these cases up? So personally, for me, and I think for every single woman in our country, and for men too that care, we're so tired of the fact that like we're just talking and it's us just talking the whole time. And it's like, what are we actually going to do? So first of all, for me, that's the number one frustration, that I don't think our government is taking this seriously enough. I mean, just look at how, for example, right now with the pandemic, they keep talking about alcohol and cigarettes. You know what I mean? Causing a spike in gender-based violence cases or causing a spike in COVID cases. It's like, why are we busy talking about alcohol and cigarettes, guys, when our health system is collapsing? Why is our health system collapsing? We saw China and Italy and what happened months before this came to our country, and now you're going to blame things on alcohol? You know what I mean? So that's like my issue when it comes to that. So that's extremely frustrating. I think what's also extremely frustrating, do you know what I hate that men do? It's the marches. It's the performative activism that happens. We're going to wear heels and dukes and put on lipstick. I don't know if you guys have seen that sometimes.
Yeah, I've seen it around on Twitter and stuff.
Oh. Do you know what I mean? And I think, and I think we're also tired of telling men, this is how I think you should handle it, or this is how you can help in terms of the movement and that kind of stuff. And you need to remember, guys, it's not about what we're putting on social media. You could be doing the work without us even ever knowing about it on social media. I'm not saying don't post and voice your opinion, whatever, but sorry, your tweets, your Facebook messages, all these things, your retweets of things mean absolutely nothing if in your personal capacity you are not doing anything about gender-based violence. You're not checking yourself, checking your past, checking your friends, calling people out. Like, what are you doing in your own personal space? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's where it starts. Educating men around you, because all of us have somebody that's problematic in our lives. Every man knows someone that's problematic, even if it's not you. So those are my thoughts. You're absolutely right. We are going through threefold. And I always say, like, Black women are at the bottom of the bottom with everything, with getting paid at work, with gender. Like, we are always at the bottom of the bottom. We have to work extra hard. We go through extra struggle. And personally, as a Black woman right now, I'm so tired of being strong. I'm so tired of being celebrated for being strong and being a superhero and being a champion. Like, I don't want to be strong all the time. Why? Do you know what I'm saying? Why must I suffer? You know what I mean? It's like we celebrate Black women suffering, and I hate it so much. A lot of us were raised by strong Black women that have had to suffer as well. My mom had to suffer. My gran had to suffer. Your mom probably had to suffer too. Like, why must I suffer as well? Like, we romanticize that, and I am done with all of that. I'm done. Like, sorry, I don't want to be a superhero because I'm not. I'm a human being. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, I can't save the world, and I don't want my story to be a story of struggle. No.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't. Mom and my grandmother and all the other women that came before me went through everything they went through. Said, now, Karabo in 2020, I must also struggle. Do you know what I mean? I must also be beaten up and murdered if I ever even make it. Do you know what I mean? I used to see my own grandmother be a victim of gender-based violence, and look at me now. Now this is like 2 generations later. We're still dealing with the same thing in our country.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, that's powerful.
So things have to change. And like, it's so hard to even remain hopeful. It's so hard to remain hopeful when every single day you're reading about a woman that's being murdered, where every single day you think of a friend that's been raped. I always say that to guys as well. I'm like, guys, so many women in your life have been victims of abuse and you just don't know. Your sister's not going to tell you. Your mom's not going to tell you. Sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reality. You just might not know your own bullshit. might not share all the moments of sexual harassment that have happened or sexual assault that have happened. And I also hate how I think what men do, and this is not a bashing men thing, absolutely not, but how it's like it's always, oh, now that I have a daughter, oh my God, I
Yeah.
can't. Why do you have to
Yeah.
have a daughter first? Why does it have to be about your sister? Why does it have to be about your girlfriend? Do you know what I mean? It mustn't take having a daughter or having a sister or whatever to understand. Do you know what I mean? Even if you had no woman in your life, it's the same thing about men protecting women that they find attractive. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Have you seen when the post of a girl that's gone missing and it's a pretty girl? And it's like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. Why does that matter? So if she wasn't pretty,
Yeah.
would it not matter to you that she's missing? You know, there's that thing of men also wanting to protect women they're either attracted to or women that are in their lives. And if it's not a woman they're attracted to, or a woman that's in their lives, or a woman that doesn't look a certain way or whatever it is, it's just like a whatever, you know, and we need to stop that. And I think at the same time, though, it's so beautiful to be surrounded by men that care, to be surrounded by men that are asking these questions and saying, how do you feel about it? Do you know what I'm saying? That are asking the right questions, that are also going out and trying to educate themselves and see what they can do, because we can't do all the educating. We're done. We're tired. There's Google. There are books. A woman in your life. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what's right and wrong. You studied, you into university, you can read, you into school. Imagine all those schools you were sent to only for you to be so ignorant. Do you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with racism. Like, I'm done explaining racism to white people.
Yeah.
I'm done with that. That's a waste of
Yeah.
I'm I don't have time for you. Like, I don't have time to tell you that that statement you just said is problematic. Like, I actually do not have time because you're wasting my time. So those are my thoughts on that. I don't know. Solutions, I don't know.
Therapy.
It's frustrating, guys. I was saying to my boyfriend the other day, I was saying to him, I'm like, you know, it's so crazy the privilege you guys have. Like, you can order Uber Eats, open the door, grab the food from the guy, like, without
Yeah.
even thinking twice. I'm like, me, every time my food order arrives, my stomach turns a little bit because shit, I can't fit the food through the burglar door. I have to actually open the gate and then get it. Anything can happen in that moment. And you think about it every
Wow.
single time with the food delivery. Okay. I think about when I'm in the shower and I'm alone in the house. I think about me being in that vulnerable state and somebody breaking into the house and I wouldn't even be able to hear them because I'm in the shower. When I'm driving, right? I was explaining this to my boyfriend as well. I'm like, you know, when a guy's crossing the street or in winter, men are walking, people are walking, people are going to, and you generally put your hands in your sweater pockets, in your hoodie pocket, right? And it's so bad because we stereotype, but unfortunately, that's the country that we live in. I'm like, do you understand the
Yeah.
fear that I feel when maybe people's crossing and it looks like they're coming towards my car and their hands are in their
Wow.
pockets? The first thing I think is holding a weapon. Even when I'm in my car, now imagine when a woman's walking at that time and they're
Oh.
going to catch a taxi or go to their place of employment. It's something that I think of. Like, literally, I freeze when I see a man walk past me, even worse if they have something as simple as their hands in their pocket. And you guys don't always know what that feels like. It's very
Yeah.
scary. We're like in a state of fear. Like, being a woman in our country is, you're always in a state of fear and anxiety. Like, I wish all of us could have some sort of access to therapy to be able to deal with it, because it's clearly we're not going to be able to deal with the GBV stats anytime soon. So at least our mental health must be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That puts a lot
A lot
into
into
perspective.
perspective. I was about to
'Cause
say, yeah.
You're like, you kind of when I just heard you saying what you were saying, all I could think about was like, wow, that happens. Like, I do things and
Yeah.
I don't even bat an eye, and I'm like, that's stuff that you actually scared. Like,
Yeah.
it's mind blowing. It's really really mind blowing.
Yeah. It's
Yeah. It's like, for example, I know guys are terrified of being hijacked, right? The thought of being hijacked is like, oh my God, my car getting hijacked. I could get. Do you know that when I think of hijacking, I don't think of my car being taken?
Yeah.
No. I think of me being taken because when a woman is hijacked, a lot of the times it's not about the car only; it's the power over you. You know, so things like that. So yes, it is. It's a lot, and I don't expect you to know 100% how what we feel every single day, but I think it's important more and more for you to realize more and more. It's like, oh shit, and it's a privilege to do that. that you don't have to live in that fear.
I think it's all about awareness. Awareness is like the number one thing for us.
I guess education as well. I mean, it's very important to be educated within it. You know, that's why I think my mom always says, like, well, she doesn't say it like that, but she's like, nigga, you need to read, you know. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you, but I like visual things. But it's like, no, sometimes you need to read, fam. You know what I mean? So I think I understand why she always says that to me, because in general, she always feels like there's always things you can always learn. You never stop learning. And she's like 63. She's always reading. Like she's never not reading, if that makes sense. So no, I 100% get what you're saying. But Karabo, we've run out of time. I can even tell, because essentially you have a lot of things to do as well that I've seen.
Okay, 5 more minutes.
Yes.
That's how good the conversation is.
Awesome. Lovely. You know, we just wanted to make it or rather, Aston, is there any like questions you got for her that are very like, you know, you got something that you feel like, man, I would like to hear it from her perspective, or like especially industry stuff? So Aston and I, we talk a lot about in general about music, and we always feel like, do you necessarily like for someone who wants to, let's say, put music on the radio or whatever the case may be, is there always a sense of we have to create radio music? Can we not just make music and it be heard, or do you need a specialist show, like if you look at Kid Funk at 5FM or something like that?
Guys, I think, you know, we need to always remember that things like radio and television are a business at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And I see people say support local artists and open up the industry, and I'm all for it, absolutely. But every single station has got a certain protocol about the type of songs they're going to put on air. They can't put every Tom, Dick, and Harry on air. Do you know what I'm saying? Imagine if they were putting every single person on air, like it's a commercial radio station. Do you know what I mean? We're trying to make money here. And I think that's why it's amazing. We have streaming platforms. People are creating SoundCloud, all these things for you to put your music there, because not every song that you're going to make is good for radio. Yes, if you can get onto a specialist platform, a specialist show, that's amazing. Do you know what I mean? And good for you. And I think it's amazing to be able to get onto radio and have your music heard on radio. But people need to remember that, geez, it's a challenge, and there's certain specific things that radio stations look for in terms of the sound of their station and what they put on. And it's not a charity, it's a business, it's a commercial radio station. Yeah. It's a TV show that is going to make money here. You know what I mean? And I think we need to remember that. And we need to, what musicians need to do. And I'm not that well informed about the music industry and artists and that kind of stuff, but just I'm speaking from a perspective of somebody that works on radio, that you're not entitled. I'm sorry. Do you know what I mean? You are not entitled for your, what you need to be doing is educating yourself about, okay, what can I do as an artist to make sure I get onto radio? Okay, this is the kind of song you would want to make, and this is how you submit and that kind of stuff. So constantly inform yourself. It's like shooting a music video and expecting Channel O to play your music video, but your music video isn't great quality. Come on. Put your music video on YouTube and your friends will watch. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's just, we also need to take advantage of the platforms that we have right now. Don't wait for that station to play your radio and that station to play your song. Make your song go viral on the internet. Do you know what I'm saying? If people are not picking up your song on the internet and liking it, what difference is going to make on radio?
I see what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying,
You work on the quality of your product, and you keep educating yourself about what you can do to make a radio hit, what you can do to make a video that can make it on television or whatever. But while you're doing all of that, use the resources that you have already, which is the internet. I mean, come on. Now it's even worse. It's not even going to be depending on the listenership that radio station that you're sending to has. Now it's millions and millions and millions of people globally. You have the opportunity to reach a global audience. You know what I mean? So focus on your product and your art and making sure that you are producing dope shit. Like, that's important. And you can't wait on anyone. You can't wait on that radio station or that TV station to give you a chance.
There's a quote that
that's my opinion on that.
There's a quote that what Karabo just said that reminds me of. It's like, it's not about having more resources, it's about being more resourceful. You see what I'm saying? So that just hit my head when you were talking.
There we go. Absolutely.
Yeah, no. This has
Yeah.
been probably the. I think you know
And that.
I've had some really cool episodes, man. But this one is very cool, Karabo. Like thank you so much, Karabo. Like this was so cool, man. You know, and plus I genuinely have not because for some reason, Karabo, you're the busiest person of all time, so it's impossible to get a plan with Karabo, guys. Like you're always either at like I know for a fact if I text you, the first thing you say is school, fam. Like school this, school. I know even Twitter. I know you especially when you say school. I know it's fine. It's okay, Karabo. You just do your thing. But
Yeah.
no, man.
I'm so glad that's almost.
But yeah, man, we're so proud to have you on the podcast, man, as our first guest, of course, on the podcast. And you know, we just wish you the best, obviously, in your career. You know, you're doing amazing things. You're still very young, dude. You're still very young. I actually hope you know that, by the way. Like the more you age, you're like, yeah, actually, I'm still very young because you are very young. You have so much to do, and I can't wait to be a part of that journey of seeing Jorge. Yeah, this is what Karabo's doing, man. We really.
Thank you so much for that, guys. And I think that reminder is something very important because I think sometimes we put an age to things. You know, I mean, I was just saying, and it's something I don't shy away from, that I've been doing radio for 10 years. I'm 28 going on 29. And only now I'm doing a Monday to Friday show. Do you know what I mean? And I think what happens in broadcasting or in our kind of industry is that it's like sports. You sometimes feel like time is running out, you know? But one thing I've told myself, and you just reminding me too, is that I'm still young. There's so much time and you get better with age, right? So I also think I still have so much to do. And I think people, if I can have last words on the podcast is we shouldn't put an age to things. I mean, Toni, who's this, Morrison, the author, right, only became who she is, Toni Morrison, I think at 40. At 40.
Yeah.
She became the Toni Morrison author, you know, we know of today. 40 years old, guys. We're not even close to that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People like Oprah. Oprah wasn't successful at 25. You know what I mean? So I think that's something we need to remind ourselves. And sometimes if it means you must just get off the Instagram, get off the socials a little bit to reconnect with yourself and not feel pressure, then you absolutely need to do that. So own pace, own race, own journey, and like to remember that you can always start over. It's never too late. You can always make your dreams happen. And like, what's age? Fuck that. Sorry, but I just went. Oh, but it's a podcast, so it's fine.
Nah, it's fine, dude.
Real Rex.
I'll take that. I'll take that. And I think, yeah, man. You said it's your own race. It's your own pace. It's your like that line really like just hit me a little bit because like I think I'm one of those people who always feels like I'm running out of time. I'm not gonna lie to you, and that's being honest with you. I put so much pressure on myself every day. You know what I mean? For no reason in particular. And I think I'm still learning how to balance that out. Hence, I'm not as active on your Instagrams. And when I tweet, I just tweet garbage or football because those are the only things I know for me to not overthink things. But yeah, no. Where can people just find you on socials, man?
So Karabo Ntshweng across all my social media platforms. My surname is spelled Ntshweng. And of course, you can catch me every single weekday, Monday to Friday, on 5FM between 4 and 6. I'm having so much fun on the show. The listeners at 5 are so welcoming. They're so amazing. Do you know what I mean? And it's been so much fun having listeners from across the country. Like every morning I'm speaking to somebody, because I come from a Joburg-based station, right? But now, like national, like, you know, waking up with people from Limpopo and from Northwest or other parts of the country that you've never even been to. So that's been truly, truly special. And I'm also so grateful for everybody who's been so supportive. I think since the news happened that I'm joining 5 FM, everybody was like, oh my God, we're so excited for you. You deserve it so much and all of that. And that was so overwhelmed with the kindness and people that have always supported my career. And yeah, thank you guys for having me on your platform. Good luck.
Thank you.
Keep
Thank
going,
you so
guys.
much. And yeah, man, that's what it is. HypeREXtended, episode 5. It's called Life Happens. And we had featuring Karabo Ntshweng, man. She was out here. We'll see you again very soon. It's going to be nice and great. My name is top of the REX, the dinosaur, ambassador himself, and he's Izzy Lucid.
Yeah, boy.
Godspeed.
Let's go.